Okay, just hit record, so I think we can get started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our webinar today. From enrichment to routing, automating lead management. We're going to kick things off with today's fireside chat very shortly, but I want to cover a few quick housekeeping items first. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Neha, and I'm on our product marketing team here at ZoomInfo. I work very closely with our Ring Lead team, and I'm really excited for you all to hear what Ashley and John have to share with you today. Okay, so first of all, I just want to mention if you're experiencing any issues with using On24, definitely let us know by pinging us in the Q&A chat that's located on the right of your screen. We'll definitely help you if you're facing any issues. Secondly, I do want to mention that we are going to be dedicating the last 15-ish minutes of this session for a Q&A. And so please use the Q&A chat to ask Ashley and John any questions that you have throughout this session, and so that we can be sure to answer all of them at the very end. Lastly, the session is being recorded, and you will receive the recording within 48 hours after we conclude today, so you can expect that in your inbox. Okay, I want to move on to our safe harbor statement, just because I'm legally obligated to mention this to you all. I do have to mention that ZoomInfo is a publicly traded company, and so this presentation may contain some forward-looking statements, and any buying decision you make should be based only upon currently available products and offerings, and our full safe harbor statement is displayed here for your review. Okay. So we're going to get started in a minute. We do have a quick poll question that we want you all to take a minute to answer. And while you're answering that, I am going to hand it to John to introduce himself. Okay, here is the first question we have. Do you have a solution in place for managing your data quality and lead routing? Okay, John, we'll hand it over to you.
All right, well, I'll let you guys kind of answer the question, and then we'll head to results in a moment. But I'm John Costuros. I head partnerships here at ZoomInfo after we were actually acquired by, the Ring Lead team was acquired by ZoomInfo last September. So we're excited to be part of that team. I headed revenue and product in some fashion over at Ring Lead for many years, and so looking forward to getting a chance to speak to Ashley, who's been an amazing user and has kind of grown with us as we've matured as a company and as a software. So Ashley, welcome.
Thanks. So I'm Ashley Langford. I'm the Senior Marketing Operations Manager at Integrate. I've been using Marketo and a lot of various other tech systems since about 2011 and building out MarTech stacks ever since. Data has always been really important to me, and I love being able to tell a story using data. It's just super powerful. And Integrate is the leader in precision demand marketing. It's an emerging category to help B2B marketers develop and deliver an omni-channel demand strategy, convert customers and prospect data records to revenue, and drive marketing ROI.
Thank you for that. So I think we need to move forward to the next step, which is the results of our little poll there. All right, so it's about half and half. You know, it is an emerging landscape. I call data orchestration the emerging technology pillar because not everybody does have a solution in place today, and so we'll kind of take you through, you know, if you are thinking about it or if you have one today, what the ideal outcomes will be. But you know, now that we have the first question asked, let's ask the second question, which is, do you have any solutions in place for territory management and routing today? All right. So this shouldn't take us too long. It's only two options there. Wow. You know, a lot of us do use CRM and SDR queues and really creative ways to manage inbound leads. But we'll walk you also through how territory management can be a big part of growth in your RevOps kind of world moving forward. But Ashley, let's start. I know you give us a bit of an introduction and talk to us a little bit about Integrate, but can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so at Integrate, I'm responsible for our marketing tech stack and then how it interacts with all of our other systems in the environment. So we use on the marketing ops team, we use Integrate as our main tech stack that works well with Salesforce and Marketo. And then we have all the various other tech stacks like ZoomInfo and Ringlead that tie into all of those.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. I'm actually curious to learn more about your role at Integrate. What does a typical week look like for you, and how is your team organized?
Yeah, so a typical week is different because a typical week doesn't really happen in the marketing ops world, but we're responsible for all of the lead data that happens. We are responsible for account conversions, so lead to account conversions. We just recently took on the ability to actually do our territory management for accounts and for the sales team, which is really powerful using Ringlead. And we work closely with our revenue operations team together to develop programs and strategies to meet our data goals.
What go-to-market platforms do you use in your day-to-day?
The biggest ones would be Salesforce, Marketo. We have that as a one-to-one sync. And then we use our own platform, Integrate. And then another big one, of course, is ZoomInfo.
Okay, great. Well, before we dive into your team's current data quality and lead management setup, what issues did you encounter with the management of your data prior to implementing your existing system?
Yeah, so managing data is hard. Like there is a lot of information that is siloed. You have sales entering data, you have marketing entering data, you have data that's coming in from other sources, and it's hard to manage it. So we wanted one solution that will be able to help us with our lead to account matching, with our deduplication, with lead routing. And so the SDRs will be able to use queues in Salesforce and be able to manage that. And then, all the SDR management or lead ownership, and then the account management.
Amazing. I think after this, we have another poll. So we're ready for the next slide. And this poll, while we're waiting, is going to be, how would you rate the quality of your CRM data on a scale of 1 to 10? And I'll give you some ideas, like, do you have duplicates? Are there missing job titles or misspelled states and countries, or non-normalized functions, functional data that can't make it into your reporting, or possibly invalid emails? Like, all of these things can be considered poor data. So if you had to rate yourself on 1 to 10, your team, obviously it's not a one-person committee that helps clean all the data, but from 1 to 10 or 1 to 5, whatever the largest scale is you can see on here, I believe it's 1 to 10. How would you rate your data? All right, let's head over to some results when we have a moment. Okay, so nobody's a 10 out of 10. I see a handful of 9s. Good work over there. You must have some of the secret sauce that Ashley's about to take us through. But let's head over to the next slide and walk through what the order of operations look like for cleansing data, making sure it stays clean, and ultimately it gets worked into lead management. But one of the key points that kind of really stands out to me about your use case, Ashley, is how you were able to transform your database marketability from 24% to 89%. Mm-hmm. Was there an order of operations, right?
Yeah, there definitely was. So when I think of marketability, I also think of, do we know who these people are? Are we able to market to them? Being able to put them in a segment. So do they have job title? Do they have country, state, industry, revenue, employees, all of that good data as well. So the first step that we did when we purchased Ringlead was looking at our lead database. So this is where the majority of our people lived when they came into the system. So what we wanted to do is, number one, get rid of all the duplicates by merging them together. We started with a very strict search of if the exact email address was the same, merge them together. Then we moved into more fuzzy logic, first name, last name fuzzy, and then email different or similar. We then merged those together. Then we moved on and did the same exact thing over on our contacts. We merged exact email duplicates, which we did have quite a few. Then we went into fuzzies, and then we even did it on the account. So this is where we partnered with our sales operations team, and we looked at unique identifiers, which we were using a DUNS number as a unique identifier, and merge those accounts together. Then we used other filters to look at and merge the duplicates of where they were in the same account and they had the different duplicate records. Then we merged those together. And we slowly went through all of that. And then the next step was to do lead to account matching. So once we knew that our accounts and our contacts were in a good place, our leads were in a good place, we then ran several instances of where we wanted to convert these leads that were active into a contact on an account record. And then from there, that is where the true marketability enrichment happened, when we then hooked in ZoomInfo Enrich and then got all the information of the contacts that we didn't have, the account information, and that just pushed up our marketability by being able to identify who those people are that were in our database.
It's a pretty incredible story. I think that we're ready for the next slide when you are. But now that you have a solid foundation, what are proactive measures that you're taking to keep your database clean?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to just close down the database and say, it's clean, nobody can come in, stay out sales, stay out marketing, but we can't do that. It's a living and breathing organism. So we have to be proactive about it. We have on our Marketo forms, we have a web submission trigger that happens. So anytime somebody fills out a Marketo form, it hits up against Ringlead and either keeps it as a lead or matches it to a contact or converts it to a contact on an account, which has been really helpful and getting that clean. Then we have other things because, salespeople will enter in things, other people will import a list. We have daily or weekly jobs that run that look at duplicates based on the previous criteria I mentioned. And I call them set it and forget it, which we don't really ever want to forget it, but you just set it up, you have it run, you go and review it. I always like to scan some of them and just make them convert or merge with the duplicates, and it's just pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's an amazing, full set of functionality that you put into a single flow there. I think we'll dive into a little bit of that more later, but can you tell us a little bit about how you're using the deduplication feature? I know you dove in a little bit earlier, but yeah, maybe a deeper dive here.
So with a deduplication, since we're a global company, we will have different accounts that are in the US and then based off in EMEA or JPAC or different countries. So when we were doing our lead to account matching, we wanted to make sure that countries stayed within the correct country. So if I'm based in the US, I wanted to make sure that I was being converted to the Integrate US account and not the Integrate EMEA account, because we want to be able to have the correct salespeople following up with the people in the correct region. So how we did that was we had matching criteria that looked at the lead country and then it looked at the account country. So if the account country is GB, and the lead is coming in from US, it's not going to match. So it will not go there. So some of those you will have to then go and manually get them converted if they don't match that criteria, or you will have to create another account for those people, which a lot of times they have them, the big global accounts.
So you guys manage duplicate accounts to basically, and obviously then use the solid account record to then properly dedupe contacts and associate, which is our next slide. Let's run to that. Our lead to account matching. And I know you touched on that a little bit more, but why do you put such a big emphasis on lead to account matching, and how are you enabled to do that in a very sophisticated manner here? And this is a big part of data management in general.
It's a huge part. Like it's really big. We are pretty strict with how leads get to accounts. We want to make sure, again, the country matches the country, as well as the domain matches the domain of the company. So if someone comes in with their Gmail account but puts their company name as Integrate, we will not convert those people to the Integrate account because we don't really know that they work at Integrate. So we only have those people converting. And the reason it's so important is because when you have an SDR or a salesperson trying to follow up, and if they're just looking at one person or a lead, they don't know the full story. Are there any open opportunities? Is anyone else talking to sales? In their current relationship, or are they even a customer? Which has happened before too. So it's really good to convert all the leads to contacts on accounts that you have, because it really creates the whole story, and they're able to see just everything instead of just one view of one person.
Yeah, when I see customers implement this solution the right way, and you start seeing new leads flowing in, I've been an SDR a long time ago, and you get caught up most of your day like qualifying through the manual lookup on your lead queue. So you're getting too many leads because there's nothing that is giving you the sophistication where you don't have to like manually look them up. And then when this thing gets implemented, now your lead flow for what you're actually supposed to handle skyrockets. And then maybe you get one or two outliers, like you're saying, because you didn't get enough information, or this person didn't have a digital profile. And now you're only having to do that once or twice a day. And just think of how much time you're saving those sales reps now that they can go and do some more outbound on a target account or somebody showing intent to buy. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're able to actually sell instead of data cleanliness, which yes, everybody has a hand in data cleanliness, but we don't want their main job to be like, okay, does this account exist? Let me convert this lead. We just do it for them.
Awesome. So on the normalization side, can you tell us how you actually use normalization?
Yeah, normalization is really cool. It's I feel like it might be like an underrated product feature, but what I really love about it is one example on job titles. So, everybody enters in job titles in a different way. Some people spell, shorten the word manager. Some people put periods within VP. Some people with dashes. I mean, everybody does something different. So it's really good to be able to, on job titles, have VP, no periods, with a space in between, and then it lists the department. You can do all of that and customize it just the way that you want it. If you like the periods in there, you can add the periods in there. And then we also do it a lot on street and address information. It normalizes that information. We use 2-digit country and state codes. And if data comes in from any other system, we want to be able to have them match through all of our rules. So we like that data normalized for it to, fit into the other things that we have, like where we have our segmentation set up, which looks at the 2-digit codes, and it makes it really easy. I also have like another normalization job that just runs in the background just as a catch-all to normalize things that, weren't caught from the first time. And it's pretty great.
Yeah, I think job title is huge. I've seen people do like their own revenue ranges or their own employee ranges because they're getting third-party information, or reclassifying industry codes and putting them into their own 30 that they like to track. There's just so many cool use cases. And then on the job title, like department level persona, being able to I also call this enriching the enrichment, right? You take data and you transform it into another field that you can utilize for reporting. So I think we're ready for the next slide, which is how are you leveraging ZoomInfo data to enrich your go-to-market engine?
Yeah, so ZoomInfo Enrich was really, really important for us once we turned it on, once we were able to enrich the database. It is so powerful. We enriched everything. I started really slow and I was like, okay, I'm going to only enrich, these certain people. But then we went full on and did everything because we had such great results with it. We were able to fill in titles that we never had. We were able to get email addresses of people that we didn't know, and it's just so great. There's also a lot of other things that we can do with Enrich too, where it can take numbers of, let's say the data comes in from for the company revenue as a full number. We can actually get that in our system in the company ranges that we need, that our system uses, which is very helpful because it's always better to have a pick list value instead of just random numbers everywhere. We use the Salesforce connector in the database. So I have several jobs that run. We have some on the leads, contacts, and accounts, and they have different criteria that they're looking for. And one great use case is filling in websites. So if someone doesn't put in a website address on the account level, it doesn't let us connect to the correct account. So that ZoomInfo will automatically find that for us, and then it's great from there on.
Yeah, I like to use enrichment, normalization, and segmentation, and like, how do you build a business case to actually invest in something like this? And it goes back to that marketability. So if you start your project, maybe you have 100,000 records, and I don't know how many you guys had, probably much more than that, but you have 24% of that is marketable. It means that every time you run a report, it says, hey, I want to talk to this type of person at this type of company with this type of score and this type of maybe persona. All of a sudden you have 24% of your data is available for that report. And now you go through, you verify it, normalize it, you dedupe it, you ultimately enrich it, and then segment the enrichment data to create additional value. And now you have that same report that you're going to run and sell your average selling price of whatever you sell. You're going to get 89% more data in every single sales and marketing campaign and be able to personalize that communication out to them. So, that's
really important. Just being able to, get away from the old adage of spray and pray marketing. You can actually segment your data, know who you're talking to, and craft your message specifically for that type of persona, which is the way that we all should be doing it.
Absolutely. So I think we are ready for the next slide, which this is a quick poll, and I'll let that come up on the screen here. But how would you rate the quality of the data in your CRM? I think I already asked this. I jumped the gun a little bit earlier. I got, but I think we have more people on the call. So if you guys would answer that one again. Now, do you think your business would be performing better with better data quality? Yes or no? This should be an easy one. I think we're going to get 100%, but I'm not going to bias the outcome here. All right, let's head over to the results. Should have been, how much more money do you think you're going to make with better data? I'm just joking. All right, so we're all bought in here. Okay. So from lead creation, Ashley, to assignment, can you describe all of the automated steps that you have put in place?
Yeah, so I sell this as my dream. This is the thing that I'm most proud of. So let's just use an example of a lead comes in on the website and fills out a form. Let's just say it's like web content. So what happens there is they fill out a Marketo form, then that person is synced to Marketo, and then I put in a 5-minute wait step. So all this then happens in 5 minutes. It gets synced over to Ringlead, and Ringlead says, okay, let's make sure all this data is normalized. Let's enrich this record. Let's see if this person already exists in the database. No, okay, let's keep them as a lead. And then let's finally assign them to who their sales rep is. So it's going to look on the data that they provided, usually state and country. They'll look at that and then figure out where the territory is supposed to be. They will then send that back over to Marketo. Marketo will then sync that record once that 5 minutes is up to Salesforce. They will appear in the SDR queue, and then it'll be a perfect record. They're ready to follow up. They know exactly what that person did. They know that it's in that territory, and they can then start their call or their email cadences right away. And that delay of only 5 minutes is really great.
Absolutely. Let's head to the next slide. This is kind of more on routing. What is your process for routing leads with ring leads specifically?
Yeah, so we look at a couple criteria. So what it's going to look at first is, okay, does this person already exist in the database? Yes, okay, we'll do this. No, it doesn't. Okay, so then it's gonna look at the account. And does that account exist? No. Okay, we're going to keep it as a lead. And then if it does match any of that criteria, it will either convert or it'll merge all the information together automatically. And then the person will never know, that the salesperson will never know, and they'll just have that perfect lead or contact ready and waiting for them.
So that's an amazing set of features. I also want to just let everybody know that on a Marketo form or any HubSpot, Eloqua, Pardot, right? What you can basically do is integrate or interface with our calendaring feature. So there can be a wait step, but there can also be an instant book right on the web page, where in some of your rules you're going to want to book a meeting right then and there with an account owner or a lead qualifier at an account team or something like that. And then also, as the lead gets created, if it does match, let's say a target account, one of our newest features is you can pull net new people by role and convert them as contacts to that same account. So if you just had an ABM target account convert on your website, you don't just get that lead, you get that lead and the 5 other people in your buying group automatically. This is super cool, and I just had to give that little shout out there. But I think we're ready for the next slide.
Too. So we're starting to do that too. Once buyer groups came out from ZoomInfo, I was right on it, and I started exploring it, and it's really awesome, and it can save so much time and just get the people that you want in the database that you can talk to.
Absolutely, and all tidied up to the right account, which we all know it used to be a manual process. Okay, let's head to the next slide. I think we covered on this a touch earlier, but I'd really like to know about how you use segmentation to actually create account personas and territories and make managing, routing overall a bit easier.
Yeah, so this is one of our newest things that we did with Ringlead. We partner so closely with our sales operations team, and this kind of came out of a meeting where him and I were talking, and he said, it's just really manual to get all these these accounts assigned to the correct person, the correct team with the correct AE, and all of that. It's really slowing down my team, especially when we have a lot of new accounts created. So I was like, well, Ringlead can actually help with that. And we explored it a little bit. I told them all what it can do, and then we built it. So what we did was we got all of our territories, all the people that should be in those territories, and then all the criteria. So with segmentation, I built out the account territory field. I put in the team name and then the different criteria, which was country and state and revenue, if it was above or below a certain revenue threshold. And we have like 28 territories, something crazy amount. All of those were then built out. We then used the mass update function to figure it out. So what our rule basically said was, okay, you don't have a territory. We're going to assign the territory based on the rules. And then we're going to look at the people. Okay, your territory is squad 1, but and the owner should be X person. If that does not match, then we are going to update those to the correct account owner. And we had to create a territory exception field, which for routing, we exclude those people. So if there is an exception of where a person will always own X account, not depending on what territory they're in, we have those solved too. But this now runs every hour. So anytime a new account is created, they will have an assigned owner within the hour. And it has been so helpful to our sales operations team. It was something that, you know, didn't take that much time of our time, but it saves them so much time on the forefront, and they're just so happy in it. It really helps with the relationship of, we can help you guys out, you know, you help us out, and it's just a team. We're all working towards the same goal.
I love that. You know, you're basically combining 3 features into a single flow, right? You're segmenting, you're mass updating, and you're triggering assignment rules all within that same platform. And so that kind of speaks to the platform conversation. I do see a lot of your questions. Some of them are about other solutions and and a ton of really good questions. We'll answer them at the end. But that would be my number one response to that. The one about maybe another solution is all of this is handled within the same platform, right? And so let's move to the next slide, which is, you know, part that we're kind of wrapping up here. But what results did you see after getting Ringlead set up?
The biggest result was the going from 24% marketable to 89% marketable, which we're currently at. That was, I think, my proudest thing. Yeah, I sent my boss a message. I'm like, this is what the database is at. And he was so excited because our goal was 85 and we killed it. But, you know, other than that, we have faster lead response time. So the SDRs are able to get on the lead or the MQL a lot quicker. And a lot of studies have shown, you know, when someone fills out, let's say, a demo request, and you call them within 15 minutes of getting, you know, of them submitting their request, they're usually more likely on your site, still looking at resources, and you have their attention. They're more likely to answer or respond to your email and set up a demo really quickly. We have a more efficient sales team. So we are able, with our SDR team, they aren't, you know, busy trying to convert these leads or merge these duplicates. We do that for them, and they just have to, you know, follow up with all the people that we send them that are MQLs. We also have a lot of, you know, we have a lot more trust with sales teams and then sales operations team with that account matching. You know, it's so great, and they trust what we provide to them. Let's see. So we also can scale marketing ops. So with the set it and forget it type thing that I mentioned earlier, we can set some things and not have to manually run them and manually watch the data or manually clean the data. Using also the list import feature that Ringlead has is really helpful because it matches to the current person, and, you know, you could add them to campaigns. It's pretty awesome as well, and that helps with a lot of other things. We can also, you know, helps with the GDPR and CCPA compliance. We won't contact people that have opted out, or we, you know, in GDPR, we only contact the people that have opted in. And we have those rules when we're merging duplicates where it survives that field. So that one, you know, if they've opted in, that will be the field. If they've opted out, we'll make sure to respect their opt out as well, and not get them. And then, you know, with our CRM and marketing database size, it's reduced because we don't have the duplicates. We don't have unnecessary people or junk data in our system. Yeah. So I would say those are the biggest results that we've seen.
Well, it sounds pretty amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that with us. I think we have one more poll that we're going to run. I know that time is getting to near the end now, but does your company have a lead response time SLA, right? Service level agreement. From marketing, lead creation to handoff and call by sales rep or email, whatever activity you would like logged, and how many activities over how much time. Like, does your company have a basic or more complex SLA for lead response time? Do you have one at all? And while we're waiting for that, if you don't, there's a really great book by a awesome guy named Mark Roberge, and he was the head of sales over at HubSpot when they had 5 employees. And they talk about the service level agreement between sales and marketing, and actually how to utilize that all the way through, planning and budgeting around how many of every type of lead that you need to provide, and helping the two departments, sales and marketing, work for a specific set of pipeline, rather than some of the things that we do today, which is have a lot of conflict in many cases. So I would highly recommend Mark Roberge's book. Ultimately, let's hop to the next slide. It's called the Sales Acceleration Formula. That's what it is. But let's get to questions here. I do see that we have one or two. I'd like to address Jim first. Ashley, if you have an account and a series of contacts associated because you've done work with them, but you have a slew of leads not telling where they may have come from that are from the same company, are you saying you just go ahead and convert them, or do you use some type of logic to leave some out and maintain in the lead object?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it really depends on what the organization wants to do as well. Some people don't use the lead object at all. They convert everything. Some people will only convert the people that they want to talk to. And then some people will convert the people that, are into a good account. So we convert people that are legit people into the account. If they are no longer at that company, or, it's a weird lead, we don't convert them even if they match. But yes, we like the full story. If they're real people on a real account, we want them all together, because you can see what everyone's doing. So you can see what the person on the lead object is doing, which if you didn't convert them, you wouldn't know. So if they're downloading content, if they are leaving reviews on a different site, you can see that information on that one account instead of the separate objects.
And I think I've seen both use cases. One is hybrid, where, again, I'll cross-feature and say, okay, well, if you're using segmentation and you're buying group and you're confident in it, you could utilize job title segments as a condition on who you're going to convert. You could use like email verification signals that you're getting from the enrichment module, or even a combination of lead scores. What is their engagement from marketing automation? And you could use those all in siloed conditionals, or you could, we have another product called Score. You could actually score contacts based on multiple variables for a conditional conversion, like something like this. So again, you could utilize multiple pieces of the tool to make sure that you're converting people at those accounts if you're not comfortable with everyone. I do think both approaches are very solid, though. They can be managed in both cases and don't have a really bias. That's like one of the biggest debates in ABM marketing today, is conversion, to convert or not. We also have a question: can Ringlead enrich, route, match data coming in from different languages? And this absolutely matches across different languages. We have data that can be enriched by any number of providers. So the multi-vendor enrich or enrich premium option inside of Ringlead allows you to source data from numerous different third parties and pipe that into your processes. You can create custom segments in the tool as well. And so, yeah, most of our features do work with, even Chinese or Japanese speaking letter systems. And then we also work with all of the Latin languages as well. So it's a great question. And then we have another one. What kind of matching logic do you use to enable maintaining separate accounts for global go-to-market use cases, Ashley? That's a specific question.
Yeah, so we look at country is going to be our biggest one, and we mainly deal in EMEA, and then we have some accounts in JPAC. So a lot of our countries are in that one section. So we will match to that, and we use the country of the lead. So anytime a lead fills out a form, we ask what country they're in if we don't know that, and in order for them to then get converted if they match the criteria to go over. And that's super helpful, and it will make sure that they stay in the correct account that they're supposed to be in.
This is a cool one. What is the one thing you'd want to leave your audience with today?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it could be super overwhelming to tackle a big database problem or database messiness. But with Ringlead, doing small bites, like how we started off, just looking at the lead object, looking at duplicate exact emails, taking small bites that each section really helped out. And then we ran our reports and saw the database cleanliness or even the database marketability continuously go up, and it just was powerful, and it kept us going. And when it was hard of looking at some of the data or making these rules, it just really, seeing the progress really helped. And then seeing the results from the salespeople saying like, oh wow, our database used to be full of duplicates, but now it's not. And just that feedback feels good.
Yeah, and I would say just another point is, in many cases, there's this rift between who owns Salesforce and who owns Marketo or Eloqua or Pardot, and it's like data is the common thing between these platforms, and we're all trying to wrangle it. And so when you're choosing a tool, make sure that that tool can connect to both environments, because what it will do is it will bring your teams closer, right? It's like, this is one project, and some of you might not like to hear that, but this is one project that will help, if you're a Marketo admin, get you closer to the Salesforce admin team. And if you're a Salesforce admin, bring you closer to the marketing team. And ultimately, if you work together to create a data environment that accommodates both, that sets the stage for further alignment throughout the rest of the life cycle of what you have to work on together. So if you're looking for something to bring those teams together and get a common project, I just think attacking your data and then the workflows of how it gets into both systems from one to the other is a really great place to start.
Yeah, I think of it as, we're all one team working towards one goal, and it's powerful. I'm super close to our admins and our RevOps, and we're great team members.
Awesome. So I think we're at the end of our questions here today. But Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. It was wonderful talking to you about all the cool and innovative things that you're able to do with a combination of solutions.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you both, Ashley and John, and thank you to the audience for your great questions. That concludes our webinar for today. I just want to leave you with a last reminder that we will be sending out the recording as well as the slides in an email, so keep an eye on your inbox for that from us. Thank you all.